For NBC News Radio, on KCAA, I'm Andrew Caravella.
Psst. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Do you know where you are? Well, you've done it now. You're listening to KCAA Loma Linda, your CNBC news station. So expect the unexpected.
Into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon, here live broadcasting out of the Sunset Gower studio on UBN Radio TV, Universal Broadcasting Network, and then replaying on my syndicated CNBC NBC News radio channel, KCAA AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere that iHeartRadio is, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, you name it. I am splattering you with more hope and happiness because this is a show that wants you to be happy 88% of the time. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk at all, because I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. And I'm going to start this show at the top because I just got back. I flew in from New York and my arms are tired. Actually, I flew in from New York. I had 3 incredible days and I have a lot of peace in, peace out shout outs. So we'll start with Jennifer, who works at the United Nations, Nelson and Harold from Tanzania on my Uber, and then the amazing, incredible Book Expo celebrities, the chairman of Barnes & Noble, Len Regio, who accidentally gave me an endorsement on camera, and he asked for my book. And if that isn't enough, our picture was featured on Publishers Weekly, and then my Morgan James publishers, David, the birthday boy, and Jim they were there, and it was wonderful meeting them in person. I actually signed the contract with them without meeting them in person, and they're even better looking than on the phone. Anyways, best-selling author Nicholas Sparks. That was a beautiful, accidental little soundbite from him. It was wonderful meeting him. James Patterson, Dr. Ruth, the amazing 90-year young, and you know on my special series, Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa, they do call me the Asian Dr. Ruth. Tay Diggs. Accidental meeting him in the autograph area, and he did say, I wish I had known to roll the B-roll when I was just meeting him, but he said that he would love to come on the air with me, so we'll see if we can hold him to that. Astronaut Clayton Anderson, who will be coming to be a guest on this show. NBC's Al Roker, the Wimpy Kid. I did ask him on the show, but he doesn't talk very much, so it won't work for radio. Senator John Kerry. Not only did I get to flash peace with him, he is also nodded about coming on. Orrin Tetcher, the CEO of the ABA, American Booksellers Association, and the Senior VP of the Book Expo, the man behind all of the fabulous activities those 3 days, Ed Severall, who did a fabulous job making the best and first Book Expo America that I got to go to. It was very magical for me. And then my new friends at the IBPA and Publishers Weekly, Seth and Lee. Also a peace in, peace out shout out to Squishables, a new show sponsor. They gave me a very soft banana because my dad used to call me a banana. I'm yellow on the outside, I'm white on the inside, but at the very middle are yellow seeds, which is why I always have to have Asian food. And if you have a problem with that and you think that is a little bit inappropriate to say, go take an Ambien. Anyways, also to Chalk in the Town, peace in, peace out, shout out to them, as well as another Uber driver, Armando, my Lyft driver, Julian, and please tune in and stay for the rest of the show because I have a phenomenal Asian Oprah giveaway for tomorrow at the Hyatt LAX. So you'll want to stay to the end of the show. But now, without further ado, I am so delighted. You know how I love to highlight, to balance out all of the bad news that we hear every single day. We turn the TV on, which is why I don't have a TV. All the things that are wrong, all the things that are bad, all the worst parts of people. And what we don't know is that producers have, hundreds of thousands of things they could choose to highlight. But when it bleeds, it leads. And so I made a purpose for this show to bring on people who are balancing out and show that there's good being done on the planet. And so today's guest, I actually heard on my Love Central home, Agape, on stage. She was getting an award, and I thought, I got to have her on. So here she is. Kabira Stokes is the founder and CEO of Homeboy Recycling, has a master's degree in public policy from USC with a focus on criminal justice reform. She's consulted for nonprofit Green for All and worked for the city of LA as senior field deputy and for the city council president, Eric Garcetti at the time. She has a TEDx talk, and her honors and awards include Sustainable Social Entrepreneur of the Year by the LA Green Business Council, inaugural Smart on Crime Award by the California Attorney General, Women for a New Los Angeles honoree by the LA Alliance for a New Economy, and 50 Under 40 Social Entrepreneur by American Express. Please welcome to the studio, Kabira Stokes.
Hello. Nice to be here.
It's so nice to have you here. It finally happened, and you have been traveling all over.
I have.
You were in New York, too.
I was.
Yes. And,
but I didn't meet Tay Diggs.
No, well, there you go. You should have been where I was, right? But I'm going to start with a question that I asked a lot of my guests. I have a friend. She doesn't have an answering machine. Mm-hmm. She has a questioning machine. And when you call her, she says, "Who are you? And what do you want?" So, who are you, and what do you want?
Very good.
Mm.
Well, I'm Kabira.
Yes.
You read my bio, so that's a nice summary. But what do I want? I want a more just world, a more peaceful and just world, and a world where we believe in forgiveness and kindness over punishment and, I don't know, what's the opposite of kindness? Meanness.
Kind of meanness. Yeah. Yeah.
I just think it's ultimately a more holistic community where we accept that we're all on the same ship here, and that folks do wrong sometimes and they can be forgiven, and that lives can be turned around.
Yeah.
And we just need to give people chances.
Yes.
And sometimes it's 2 chances and sometimes it's 5, but that everybody deserves that.
So if you're not familiar with Homeboy Industries, Kabira's organization...
Well, we're Homeboy. We're Homeboy Recycling. So
Right.
Homeboy Industries is Homeboy Industries has been around for 30 years.
Yes.
Amazing.
So let's give it a little background in case some people have no idea what it is. Okay.
So 30 years ago,
Yes.
We actually just had our 30th anniversary.
That's awesome.
Father Gregory Boyle. He's like a love doctor. But Father Boyle was a young priest in East LA, and he set up a congregation, a mission there, and really found himself in the middle of gang territory. And decided, as he was sort of riding around on his bicycle, he's this great, beautiful man, he looks like Santa Claus.
Yes.
He's kind of riding around his bicycle, saying, maybe there's an alternative to violence. And in the end, just developed a relationship with the folks who he wanted to be in, his parishioners, and just started asking, what do you need? What do you need? And they said, we need jobs.
Yeah.
What we need are jobs.
Right.
So he started Homeboy Industries, which is a series of social enterprises, job opportunities specifically for folks with gang pasts, folks who have come out of the prison system. And so it started with a
bakery.
There's been a tortilla company, a silk screening company over the years. And now 30 years later,
right.
It's a wonderful organization. There's there's a homegirl cafe, wonderful catering. And then about 18 months ago, the organization that I had started, the company that I had started almost 7 years ago, became part of the Homeboy family. So we're the first for-profit company that's a part of Homeboy Industries. So they're a nonprofit, primarily social services, getting people through transitional jobs. So once they've sort of come out of the system or of gang life, they need some help. They need to sort of know how to work, right?
Yeah.
What do you do with a paycheck? What do you do if your boss gets mad at you?
Yeah.
That sort of soft skills that maybe some of us just know and
Take for granted. Yeah.
So Homeboy Recycling, electronics recycling, is the next step for folks. So once they're complete an 18-month transitional job program, you know, there's still only so many places that are going to hire someone with a tattoo on their face or a felony on the record. So we exist specifically to take in those graduates, and there we are.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not going to wait till the end of the show. I'm just going to do it now because you deserve it. And I'm giving you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't give that to
Very
every
nice.
guest, so we're going to give her a little applause that goes with that award.
Thank you.
Because it really, you know, I remember I was touched by the story you gave when you were accepting the award that, you know, you have a great education, you've got a bright future, you know, you could have done a number of things that were all about, you know, doing what we naturally do as Americans, right? The American dream, get more money, nice house, da, da, da. And you said, you know what? I'm not making a difference. And I really want to make a difference. And we all know fundamentally our prison system isn't working. We have the highest rates of recidivism in California. I think that's still true, unfortunately.
We rival Texas sometimes.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's so like, of course we would. Not so much California and Texas, but if you look at a system that you know, you make money, the more people that are in prison, and you build more prisons, and you keep people in prisons, and even if they've done their time and they've done the requisite what they were supposed to do to pay for their crime, they come out, they go apply for the job to try to be a productive member of society, and they have to put it on their resume, right? And or it'll come up in the first then they can't get a job. So why would I try to be humiliated interview after interview after interview and not be able to support myself or my family, then just give up and go with the flow and go back and into a system that, you know, I do get my meals, and there is some work in there, and, you know, of course we'd have a problem. So God bless Father Gregory, who was invited,
Yes.
And he is now getting ordained or something.
No,
yeah?
he actually is getting an honorary, I believe, doctorate from Princeton University.
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. I think that's, and he gives his regrets. Otherwise, we would have him at least calling in. But I'm so glad. It's funny. 5 years ago, I saw his picture on a wall with like the first bakery or whatever in Vegas. And I said, I got to have him on the show. That was my first year on the air. So 6 years later, you know, it's not better late than never, but I have his deputy, and I'm really glad for that. So how, and I love what you said, you know, people make mistakes. I think the statistics are like 85% of people in prison have either been violated in some way in the home or out of the home, molested, crimed, abandoned, neglected, and this is their way of growing up.
Well, I think a lot of it is that people just grow up in extreme poverty with a severe lack of opportunity, and no one's given them a chance, right? There's a lot of opportunities that I know I myself have taken for granted that just aren't offered to people. Education, food, two parents, school that teaches you anything. And, you know, there's severe differences between different neighborhoods depending on socioeconomic status. I mean, if I messed up, you know, I went to school in the suburbs of Philadelphia, right? A good public school. Where do you even find those anymore?
Yeah.
But I went to public school, but if I had messed up, I would have gotten therapy.
Right.
If I had done drugs, I would have gone to rehab.
Right.
I would have been forgiven.
Right.
And the thing is that I think a lot of folks, they do what young people do. They do what people without, good proper guidance, or even ones that do have good guidance.
Right.
Kids do things.
Right.
But unfortunately, for some neighborhoods, you instead of getting therapy, instead of getting rehab, you
go to jail.
juvie. You go to juvenile hall.
Yeah.
Or you get suspended, or you get kicked out of school.
Yeah.
And it's just that starts this pathway, that school to prison pipeline that I was certainly never on.
Right.
And it's because of the color of my skin, because of the opportunity, my
privileges
middle class
that you
privilege
had.
that I had. And that's just such a random luck of the draw.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that it would just be nice if we could level that playing field
Yes.
a little bit more. And I think
Yeah.
the piece, what you said earlier, even if someone did commit a crime for whatever the reason is,
Yeah.
crime of poverty, crime because they have mental illness, or they were on drugs, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
People serve their time, right?
Right.
They serve their 6 months, they serve their 17 years, whatever it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
and they come out. They've done what we as a society said your punishment was,
Yes.
and they come out, but we don't forgive them.
No,
we
we
never
don't.
forgive them.
We don't.
And I don't get that.
Yeah.
I don't. Are we? I mean, I don't know. Some folks call us, quote, a Christian nation. Some folks.
Yeah,
Right.
under God.
Under God. So
Yeah.
so let's say that that's true for a second.
Yes.
It's not. But
Right.
if it were to be, what are those values? What are the
Yeah.
values that our country is based on?
Good point.
And how can forgiveness be a part of that?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Very, very good point. If you're wondering who I'm talking to today, and we're talking about balancing out what's not working today in the prison industry, or it is an industry, I have a very special guest, Kabira Stokes, who is the CEO of Homeboy Electronics Recycling Industry, and she's here helping us understand how we can really balance out the playing field when it comes to forgiveness as a nation, and also recognizing. I think if all of us, because you hear people say all the time, you just have to work hard. You just have to try harder. You just have to show a willingness to be better. And it's really not that simple. When you don't have role models, when you've had severe trauma as a child, when you've been told you're worthless by, I know kids who had a privileged upbringing and still believe they're worthless. So can you imagine kids who have not a healthy home trying to battle those voices that tell you that you're stupid, or you're not good enough, or you're not worth anything? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm glad that there's actually a lot of good being done in looking for what is supposed to be changed in our systems, in our nation. There's a call coming in. I actually have a surprise guest calling in. I didn't, is
it
he
Tay
on?
Diggs?
Yeah, no. Is it Tay Diggs? No, I think this is Dave Jones. Are you there?
Hi, Dr. Marissa.
Hi, Dave Jones. How are you?
Very well.
Good. We forgot to take a picture at Agape so that I could have your face up there. But I wanted you to call on, because I have a special guest here today who's really doing amazing work that you can support when you become Attorney General of
Hello, sir.
California. This is Dave Jones. I met him at Agape, and Kabira Stokes is the CEO of Homeboys Electronic Recycling, and she is hiring specifically people out of the prison system to give them jobs to do the work that they can do and make a living, so that they aren't continuously being punished. And so I wanted to bring the two of you together on the air, because I know that your run today is really important. You highlighted this of all the things you could have been talking about on our platform at Agape. So you take it away a little. What are your belief systems, and what's not working, and how are you going to? I'm allowing you to give a pitch. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of unusual. I may get in trouble for this. I'm supposed to be bipartisan and not favoring, but what you said from stage, I really had to have you call in. So go ahead.
Well, thank you, and thanks to Homeboy for all the fantastic work they're doing, helping people in need, including those coming out of the criminal justice system. I'm running for Attorney General because I believe we need to prioritize criminal justice reform, and that means helping people who are in the correction system and people coming out. And that means mental health treatment, substance abuse treatment, education, job training, jobs, and housing. The very sorts of things that Homeboy is doing for people. And we need to expand that dramatically. There's no question that as a result of the war on drugs, a lot of people were swept up, put into prison and jails for terribly long periods of time, stamped with a felony brand, and when they return, they really struggle to get back on their feet. And so we owe it to them, and we owe it to ourselves too, because the evidence is really clear. If we don't do the sorts of things that Homeboy and others are doing, people will reoffend. And so it's the right thing for them, and it's the right thing for the community. And so what I want to do as Attorney General is make that a priority, identify programs that work, identify how to take them to scale, and then go and advocate for funding from philanthropies, from the private sector and from the public sector, and make this a real emphasis over the next 4 years.
Great.
Fantastic.
Great. So it is Election Day today, not the big one, but the important one. So if you're listening right now and you're not planning on voting, go and plan to vote, because we can't just complain about anything if we're not using our right to vote to change things. And I appreciate you calling in, and I, wish you the best. And I hope that, I know I will hold you to what you're doing if you get elected, and make sure that you have Kabira as one of your support systems, and to really, their system works. And I have to say, there's a lot of fractionated good that's going on around. I love the way Father Gregory has sort of expanded. I am glad that this is a for-profit arm, because money is good. We need money for good things just as much as money is not the root of evil. So I support this. I guess I'm endorsing you, Dave.
Well, thank you, Dr. Marissa. I really appreciate that.
So I wish you need to go and take care of more lobbying or kissing babies, I guess is what they say. But Dave, you have been the insurance commissioner, correct?
That's right, and that's a big consumer protection and law enforcement agency too. And I bring my passion for justice, social justice, and criminal justice reform from that job to the job of Attorney General. And I think you've put your finger on it. We really need a more holistic approach that involves providing people with all the supports they need, including spirituality too. And I think that there's a component of that in what Homeboy does, and certainly Agape does, that's critically important too. But where the government can play a role is supporting programs like Homeboy and others like it to help them do the good work that they're doing, and that's what I want to do as the next Attorney General.
Beautiful.
I'm writing that down, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah, you got two
Please
women.
do.
You get two strong women here holding you to your promises. Well, thank you so much for calling in, and best, and I look forward to seeing the results.
Thanks a lot. Great to spend some time with you and your listeners. Thanks again.
Thank you. All right.
Cool.
Cool. That was
Exciting.
my little surprise for you.
Yeah, I like it.
So
I'm a big voter. I like me some voting.
Yeah.
So,
So that's great.
very important.
How do my listeners support what you're doing? I mean, I think it's great that it's not like a made-up industry.
Sure isn't.
So let's talk about
Sure
the
isn't.
importance of electronics
Sure.
recycling.
Absolutely. Well, electronics are the fastest growing waste stream in the world. So, I mean, we're in the studio here. I see microphones, computers, cameras, lights. I mean, it's what we have now.
Yeah.
It's what everything's
Yeah,
made of.
phones.
So,
What happens when we don't recycle?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that happens a lot. Only about 30% of electronics are recycled, and the rest are ending up in landfills. They're ending up not where they should be. There's toxins in there, and there's precious materials.
Okay.
So they need to be processed in a way that the toxins are dealt with correctly, safely. And then the precious material, there's no reason to go mine copper or iron ore or any of that, and then throw back in the earth. It's already there. We've mined it already. Fun fact is that there's more landfilled rare earth metals than are left in all known mineable deposits. They actually did maybe find another one, but before that, before a few days ago,
Really?
landfilled then were known, that were mineable, that were known. It's also
Why don't we mine the landfills?
correct. That's right. Well, that might be next, right? They do
Okay.
that in some countries.
Do they?
They do
Okay.
that in some countries.
Of course, in other countries.
But why don't we just not let them go in there in the first place?
Yes,
and be collecting them and processing them correctly. And also, data security is a big deal. Just because something, there's all this talk right now of data security, and just because something's kept in the cloud doesn't mean it's secure. It's kept on. In the end of the day, it's kept on physical objects. So data security is another big part of this of making
Wiping things clean.
wiping it clean.
Yeah.
And so we. This is also work that traditionally has been it's shipped overseas, but no, we need to keep it here. These are local jobs that can be created. It's an appropriate skill level for folks who haven't had a lot of education or training. But the beauty of it is that people can move up in it, right? So it's one thing to learn how to take a computer apart.
Yep.
It's another thing to learn how to put it back together, or to wipe data, or be part of our e-commerce for resale. Learn how to drive a truck to go pick things up and safely bring them back. So. We are R2 certified. We're certified as a responsible recycler. We have an extensive environmental health and safety management system. We're not trying to be a bad actor in this industry. There are certainly some. But I have to say, I'm going to say this. I think we have built the best company in Southern California that there is for electronics recycling. I don't think you'll find. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll find a better one here.
Yeah.
And we have national clients now, and we're really reaching out into the country. I think we're one of the best that's out there, small but mighty.
Great.
And actually yesterday we announced we've been working with Hewlett Packard, and they released a beautiful video that they've made with us about their closed loop recycling efforts. So we're helping them mine plastic. And give it back to them so that they can make new partners out of it. So we're super excited about that partnership. Beautiful video up on our website and theirs right now.
Wonderful. Let's go get it.
So how can folks help? Well, there's two things, right? So there's Homeboy Industries, which is the nonprofit.
Yep.
Always helpful for donations to just be able to support more and more trainees coming in and really getting the social services they need. So that's homeboyindustries.org.
Yep.
And then if you're in Southern California, or actually anywhere in the country, and you have electronics recycling or data destruction or asset management needs, we're the company for you.
Okay.
We've worked in Hawaii, we've worked in New Jersey, we've worked in California, and all around. So we'd love to vie for folks' business.
Yeah.
So, and especially if you're here in Southern California, we're down on 18th and Central. You can come drop off. If you're just not a corporation or anything, you're just a person that has some electronics. Come, your data will be secure, and you'll be helping support workforce development here in Los Angeles.
That is so awesome. And that drop-off center's open?
Monday through Friday, 10 to 6 p.m.
Great. And how many people do you employ now?
We're at 25 right now.
That's so
We're at
awesome. And
25.
how long ago did this start?
Well, so I had originally started a company almost 7 years ago called Isidore Electronic Recycling.
Why Isidore?
Saint Isidore is the patron saint of computers and the internet.
Really?
So I made that leap over to electronics recycling. And then, funny, we ended up with a Catholic organization, Homeboy, Jesuit organization. So we've been with them about 18 months. So we've been Homeboy Recycling for about the last 18 months.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah. And
beautiful.
it's amazing. It's a whole other company. That brand is so respected and so strong here in Southern California.
Yeah.
That just our whole it's an entirely different operation.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
So I'm guessing that there's a lot of commitment and pride in the job that is being done at your place.
Yeah.
I think I'm an organizational psychologist, so I do consulting in Fortune 100 companies, and one of the number one issues is apathy.
Yep.
And commitment, and too much stress and not enough joy in the organization. I think the antithesis is probably
it's a pretty
having an environment where people are appreciative and grateful.
Yeah, we have our days, but for the most part, we actually had someone come in and do a culture analysis.
Did they?
And we were nervous. Stressed. How's it going? And we have room for improvement, but for the most part, I think it is a pretty cool place to work.
That's awesome. What was your scale? How come I wasn't called?
I hadn't met you yet.
What was about the number? 7.
Oh, we didn't quite do it
Do
like
it- do it-
that.
okay.
It was
Okay.
But it was
pretty
high.
good.
It was pretty
They
good.
told you it was pretty
It
good.
was pretty good.
My guess is it's higher than the average.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
7 or 8, or if
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
to, if
yeah.
I was to quantify
Yeah, I
it
think
like that.
6.8 is the average. Right now.
I think it was
So-
it was not a lot of red marks. you know,
Yeah,
it was pretty
that's
good.
that's
You know,
wonderful.
and just to something that you said right at the beginning, I think one of the most amazing things about the organization for me is that when we do the interview process, you know, that's the thing for folks with
Record.
checkered past or whatever you want to say is when they go in for a job interview, they're dreading that question of, well, what's this gap and where
Right.
was this and what's going on?
Right. And do you have any felonies?
And do you have any felonies? And we sort of assume that they do.
Yeah.
Or we know that there's been some gap in their
Yes.
resume.
Yeah.
And to watch people really start to relax into understanding that question's not being asked of me and just relax into being a human
you are.
being on a job interview who's being judged by who they are that day is a very beautiful
Ooh.
thing. Yeah, it's a very beautiful
That
thing.
just touched my heart.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
That is a wonderful thing.
And then people
that
rise.
is-
People will rise up to that, you know. Not everyone's a success story, but for the most part, you know, people appreciate that opportunity.
I bet they do. And I'm getting the signal from my fabulous new sound engineer, Jonathan, that it is time to break to thank the sponsors that make this show possible. If you would like to be a sponsor highlighting your product or service on a show about hope and happiness, I have very affordable rates, so just contact me at the number 4balance.org and I will bargain you. So anyways, we'll be back in 2 and 2. Remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out. Are you tired of being tired? Are you ready for more balance in your life? Then come to the beach and work with Dr. Marissa, motivational speaker, author, organizational psychologist, and host of the 2016 Podcast of the Year Top 10 in Health award-winning show, Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. If you are ready to choose more hope and happiness no matter what's happening around you, then go to www.drmarissa.tv today. 4, 3, 2, 1, and another child dies. Yes, every 4 seconds, someone dies from drinking contaminated water, and that's the bad news. The good news is that the Purity filtration system provides clean, fresh, and safe drinking water, and for every 2 water bottles sold, 1 is shipped to a child in need. Contact Heshy Siegel at kidsbetterworld.com for this win-win-win, life-giving answer to contaminated water today. We are back. My applause. I love applause. I need validation. Here we go. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon out of the Sunset Gower studios with UBN Radio TV, and on Thursday syndicated on my CNBC NBC News Radio channel KCAA AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere on iHeartRadio. And today, my guest is a beneficial presence on the planet, Dr. Marissa's award recipient, Kabira Stokes. It is. She is the CEO of Homeboy Electronics Recycling Industry, and we are so happy because we also now have someone who potentially could be our next Attorney General that we're going to hold his feet on the carpet to really do more. I think we really need to do more. There's 2 places that in my opinion, are getting too much funding, and that is the building of prisons. At least balance it out with the rehabilitation, or schools. Or schools. Yes, and then too much war. That's my personal opinion. So I'm hoping that this election, go vote. You don't have to vote like I vote, but just go vote. And especially since I run the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa, if you're not going to vote, then you can't complain. I mean, I think that's really, really, really it. So I'm going to ask you some personal questions. I think you're getting married.
Oh, I am.
Yes. So
I am in 5 weeks.
That's so. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, even though love is grand, divorce is 100 grand. Sorry, I'm happily divorced, as you can tell. But I wish you so well.
Thank you.
And he's in
He's in New York right now. He's He's in the art world over there.
Ah, beautiful.
Yeah.
I have a friend, actually, I'm going to give a shout out, Layla Love, that maybe he wants to look up. She's in the art world over
great.
there too in New York.
Fantastic.
And so what is your intention for this whole to grow bigger? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, we already service nationally, and I think the dream is to have this replicated around, because it's not like LA is the only place that needs jobs for
Right.
folks who have a hard time getting them.
Right.
And this is a service, we do not have the capacity in this country to recycle as we need to. And we really need to be upping those recycling rates and repair rates too. It's not all about recycling.
Yeah.
We get things in that are usable all the time.
I bet.
And so if the customer allows it, we wipe that data and we put it back out into the world. And just because I don't want a 4-year-old iPad or whatever, there are people that do, and we have to really remember that there's lots of folks that don't. The digital divide is real. People don't have access to computers. They don't have access to the internet. So part of what we're doing is creating that work, but we're also trying to provide lower cost electronics out into the world.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, it is partially our ignorance, I think, and the entitled new, and I'll be the first, I've got to have the latest thing. It's okay. Have the latest thing, but then take care of what you just left off.
Yeah.
I know even our farmers market in Long Beach, they have a little booth that takes used cell phones. So I think that's a great thing to do. Yeah. Any other thoughts, advice? You've been involved in so many sort of improving efforts. What would you challenge the average person that thinks that they can't make a difference? What things can they get involved with? What was your TEDx talk about? I didn't have a chance to take a look. So there's like 5 questions right there. So you get to pick which question you want to answer.
Well, the TEDx talk is about recovering value. So both from the folks that we've discarded from our society and from these things that we've discarded from our society, and be able to really reclaim that value. This is my journey towards that. And I think to your first question, I mean, I'm someone I was very young. I was a sort of young adult when 9/11 happened, and that changed my life. And I was floored by that scene and the aftermath to it. And I was so angry and I was so upset. And the only way that I understood to really channel that was into action. And I think that's been true now, all these years later, is that when I am almost paralyzed with upset or fear around something in the world, the only thing that makes me feel better is to try and do something about it. Not put my head in the sand.
Right.
And, it's not everything. You can't take on everything. But that one thing that really keeps you up at night.
Yeah.
Or in my case, 2 things: environmental disaster and the prison system. And get creative with it. Is there a way to, the house
combine the two?
This is real. The house is on fire here.
Yeah.
And if you have any idea, no matter how wacky it is, go for it. Fail big. Try it. I mean, when I started, I didn't have a business degree when I started this company, and I would laugh every time I talked about what I was doing. I was so insane that I would try to do this. But
you're good at it now.
Yeah,
you've learned.
You do it. You build the plane as you fly it, and just go for it. We need solutions. We need people who have real passion. Whatever you do in life, it's going to be hard, so you might as well try and tackle those big problems. Go for it.
Yeah. And I just see I see problems in a whole new light. It's not a problem. It's just a solution, giving us an opportunity to be creative. Because all of us have had some kind of hardship somewhere. So why don't we take the hardship and make it as fertilizer to help us chisel our way into something better and leave the world a little bit better by what we have. So my last question always is to ask my guests, what are you or who are you most grateful to or for?
All right, I'll say my fiance right now because he's cute.
What's his name?
His name's Peter.
Peter.
Yeah, sweet Peter.
And
He's a supportive
supportive dude in your
Yeah.
life. Can I ask how you met?
Oh, we met in high school.
Oh, really? Oh, so he's been on
around,
this
but
road.
then we took a break and then we came back. But yeah, so it's
and he supports you fully for what
sure does.
you do.
He
and
sure does.
That's wonderful.
yeah. So I'll give him that shout out.
All right, Peter, you are loved. I can feel it from here. That's beautiful. And I truly do wish you the very best. I am so glad that we share this planet together in
Thank
this
you.
time. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. I fully support you. If you ever, are doing anything,
Thank you.
come back and support it. I'm thinking right now already, we could run an event at Agape and have
Great.
everybody bring their
Fantastic. We
recycle
do that.
or whatever and help you out with that. Companies, I know that I have a lot of business clients who do listen to me. Companies are good things, right? In the other side of it.
Our
to
customer
give
service is
you-
unmatched.
Yes. So if you're a company and you're looking for someone to handle your electronic waste, here you go. Homeboy Recycling Electronics Industry.
Boy, electronics
Okay.
recycling. There it is.
I'm just not. I just give up. You'll go to her site, which is,
homeboyrecycling.com.
and then you'll be able to just say, "I heard you on the air, and we'd like to sign on," and that would be
Great.
awesome. Yeah,
Fantastic.
awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for the
Stokes.
opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And yay! And it is time. That end of the show opportunity for you to welcome you to my balance bar. You can step up and find out ways in which to have more balance and happiness in your life. And I'm going to start by finishing my excellent customer service shout outs that I left out in the beginning of the show. So the first one is my pilots and my co-pilots that were that I remember I posted that and people were freaked out. You're flying a plane? So they wanted to get out of the way. So it's United Pilots Bob and co-pilot Doug and attendant Sharon. And the guys at Very Fresh Noodles, my daughter's favorite place in New York. And it got cut off here. So I apologize if I did not get you. Oh, I know. Layla Love, who happens to have a beautiful art gallery, the Butterfly one. And I accidentally met her when I was there for the BEA Book Expo with the Gladstones, who were hosting a little get-together. So my new friends, the Gladstones, who are publishing her book. So please support Layla Love, she's a photographer and an artist who has had who's been going blind for a long time, and she keeps having treatments, but you would never know it from her artwork. She's an artist that Gloria Steinem supports, and she's just a beautiful being, so I wanted to give her a shout out too. She's been a guest on my show. You can actually, in my first year, she's on my iTunes before we got the cameras. So, and then every week from now until August 7th, my gift to you is a balance tool from my upcoming book, 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are. So this is a book. It's self-help on steroids. It's for the 1 in 4 Americans who are currently on anti-anxiety or antidepressants medication and are still anxious and depressed and now have side effects on top of it. So it's an inside-out job. So if you're lonely, if you're in heartbreak, if you're in shame, there is a solution, and I can't wait to have you buy it. Don't pre-order, even though the links are up. I just found out at the Book Expo, if I can get 11,000 people to buy a book in that first week from August 7th to August 14th, then I become a New York Times bestseller. And I'm a little competitive, but it's really not about that, I swear. It's really about having a tool to really get you back into happiness. So I'm really hoping that you will buy the book August 7th. And the tool that I am going to give you today is from Chapter 6, From Shame to Dignity, which kind of corresponds to our audience today. It's esteem. Got esteem? Try esteemable acts. Sometimes when we don't feel good about ourselves, there's a smidgen of deserved butt kicking. We can have more self-esteem when we make esteemable decisions on what we say and what we do. Feel bad about staying in bed and eating bonbons? then get up. This balance tool is also highlighted in today's balance tip, day 5 on the 21-day fast from complaining, from Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian female Dr. Phil. If the grass looks greener on the other side, water your own lawn. When I hear myself complain with envy, I have a choice to change my own landscape, and the commitment to change can only come from me. So start with your and my eyes on my own yard.